Once upon a time. Welcome to Australian Book Lovers, your destination for imagination.
Australian Book Lovers acknowledges First Nations peoples and recognises their continuous connection to country, community and to culture. We pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging, and honour the sharing of traditional stories passed down through generations. We're committed to a safe and inclusive welcome for authors and readers of all cultures and backgrounds, including people of LGBTQIA+ communities and their families.
A big warm welcome to everyone and a huge thank you for joining us for the Australian Book Lovers podcast. Our mission, as always, is to bring fabulous Australian and Indigenous literature that spans a whole range of genres to book lovers around the globe, as well as fantastic resources and information for passionate authors looking to write their next bestseller. I'm Veronica Strachan, who's stumbling over her words today, but also known as V.E. Patton, fantasy, sci-fi, memoir, picture book writer, voracious reader of many genres, your founder and co-host, coming to you today on episode 140 from the absolutely chilly Wurundjeri Woiwurrung country.
Amazing. 140. I've been around for a year. Hey!
This is good.
And I am Laurie Bell. I am a science fiction and fantasy author, blogger. I write short stories. I have lots of flash fiction on my blog, and I'm your co-host today as well, coming to you from Wurundjeri Woiwurrung country.
Excellent. And Friday fictioneer.
Yes.
Extraordinaire. Now, I was thinking that we might have a special episode for our one gross episode, which is 144 if I remember rightly, 1212. So yes, we might have that little panel that I spoke about to you before we did, but we might make it a special edition. All right, enough stumbling over the words, because we have things to do.
We do
share events and book spotlights. So many book spotlights. Thank you to everybody who's put their spotlights up, and we're going to have to start doing a couple of little spotlights after our writers' rooms, because I've got about 40 books to share, more than 40, but we're going to do about 7 today, because 7 is my lucky number. Now, tell me, a quirk of mine is when I'm choosing volume numbers, be it on the computer or the television or whatever, I always have to have it as a prime number. Is that,
really?
Are you a prime or
no? I'm a inconsistent.
Oh, just bring it to what you need.
Whatever I'm up to, that's where I get to. Yeah, I'm terrible. My partner's a bit more pedantic. He likes to have things very wrapped up nicely,
yes,
but
yeah,
not me.
Oh. Well, if my son has the clicker, because they're currently staying inside while they finish renovating their bus, he likes even numbers. But if I've got the clicker, it goes to odd, but not just odd. It's got to be a prime number. But anyway, that's all right.
Interesting. I learn something new about you every day.
Every day. And isn't that fascinating? Now, aren't you glad that we waited all this time? Yes. All right. So fabulous author to talk to today is the absolutely delightful fantasy author from WA, Abigail Mader. And we talk about her Crystal Dynasty series, which is really good. So that's coming up. People stay tuned. Yes. But in the meantime, I've got a couple of words from the beautiful Don Koenig.
Good.
And well, so I was thinking, we've got a bird feeder outside, which Ian moved down to be in front of our window. So many birds who do wheelies trying to get, and the funniest thing is the big white galahs, the Major Mitchells, who are desperately trying to get on, but they can't because they're too big and fat, and they just tip the seed all over the ground. But anyway, then they yell and scream and all those kind of things. All right. What about siso, S-I-S-O, a solitary experience you wish you could have shared with someone else? Having dinner in a romantic setting, reaching the summit after an arduous climb, having a run-in with a crazy stranger that no one's going to believe, which makes you look around for confirmation that it even happened at all.
Love it. Yeah. That actually puts me in mind of your chat with Abigail, because there's a couple of little spots there where she's talking about that you can't share the writer's journey with non-writers because they just don't get it. They
They don't.
they don't get
No.
it. So I
No.
think that's a good one. There
That's
are
a good
certain
one.
things you can't explain to
Beautiful.
people or talk about.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yep. That's good.
Mm.
All right. That is a good one. The other thing is what I think some of our writers also have is momophobia, the fear of speaking off the cuff or from the heart, the terror of saying the wrong thing and having to watch someone smile fade as they realize you're not who they thought you were.
hmm hmm I might
Uh-huh.
need to get the spelling of that from you.
Yep. And now that I've told you that I always have to have my volume turned up to a prime number, you might be thinking, okay, weirdo.
No, not at all. But I do get if I talk
Oh,
up, particularly at work, it'll be
yep.
like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. My God.
Yeah.
Now they're going to be thinking, who knows what?
Don't you worry about that. And it's interesting when you say to people sometimes that you write and that you write fantasy, you can
Yeah,
see some people going, particularly those who don't know fantasy as like Dungeons and Dragons and
yeah,
that kind of thing,
yeah,
they think, oh,
yeah,
fantasy. Is
yeah,
that like fantasy? Or I've
yeah.
had someone say, oh, like fantasy football. I said,
Oh,
no, not fantasy football. But
or
thank
like
you.
Game of Thrones. It's like, no,
Yes.
not everything
Not
is bloody
everything.
horrible death.
No.
It's fine.
It can be, but no, that's not it. No. And yeah, it was interesting. Abigail talked about things getting darker in the book as she wrote. But yes,
Yeah.
momophobia, the fear of speaking off the cuff. However, it reminded me of a couple of books that I've just loaded on the website from two authors who shared their biographies, and I don't think either of these women will suffer from this. So I'm dead keen to get them both on the podcast. But that I've got so many people who want to come and chat to us. So
Fantastic.
we're going to try and hum through things and get as many bodies on as we can because we
Yes.
are about celebrating Australian authors. Yeah.
Yeah. And we still want you putting your books up on the
Please put your
listing your
books
books
up.
up on the
Yes.
site. We're
Yeah.
creating author pages. There's going to be a lot of fun
Post,
coming
yes.
through.
Yes. Posting about our giveaways, posting about features of the week, all sorts of bits and pieces and spotlights, so many things. If
So
we
many
could do this
things.
full time, we would. Of course, if you
Oh,
want to help a bit,
yeah.
you could subscribe to the podcast, which would
Yes.
help us pay for putting the pod out a bit more frequently, and also pay for some of the well, it'll be a while before
It's
it
the
pays for putting
postage.
the pod out. But anyway, but
Yeah, that's
also
true.
pay for postage would be good,
Yeah.
which we get lovely samples, giveaways from our authors, but also from some of our publicists. They send some copies of books. So
She's marvelous.
well, I think I've got about 9
Bring it
books over
on.
there, and I've got a couple because I've got the lovely Sandy Barker who's back in Australia. Has promised us a
Yay.
couple of books as well. So
Woohoo.
I've got a romance panel that I've got planned, a few bits and pieces coming up. So all of those are good things. But yeah, we need to work, Laurie, so we better get on.
Yes.
How about
Let's go.
some news?
Yep. I wanted to talk about, and it's actually passed. It was actually this last week, and I wish I'd gotten on top of my news earlier.
Yeah.
The amazing, so the Australian Library and Information Association put together a national simultaneous story time. And what that means is that in libraries and in schools and basically anyone who's all about books, read the same picture book, the same storybook at the same time, which is a
Wow.
fantastic initiative. So many people were involved this year. It was on the 21st of May, so it has
Yep.
passed.
hmm
But this year they read the truck cat, which when you look at the
The
picture is
truck
so
cat.
cute. And we were talking cats before we
We
started
were, because
recording.
we love our cats.
We do. And so this was a fantastic fun story by Deborah Frankel and Danny Snell. And the truck cat was a story about, cats and humans and immigration and identity and homes lost and found. But just the idea of everyone at 12 o'clock on the 21st coming together to read the same story across Australia. And
That
there
is
were,
brilliant.
it's such a great initiative. So I need
Yeah.
to be more on top of that for next year because that'll be a lot of
Okay.
fun
That would
for
be a lot of
sure.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to talk about very briefly is that I am doing a writer's workshop in the school holidays
Woohoo!
in the eastern suburbs of Victoria. Keep an eye out on the library listings to see when you can book a spot. It's for grade sixes to year 10s, and there is a minimum number in the room for our writing fun. It's 2 hours. I hope I can keep the kids going for 2 hours. We're getting
I'm
treats
sure
though,
you
so it's
can.
exciting. So it was a lot of fun. I did that 3 years ago with the library, and we're doing that again. So when I've got some more
Brilliant.
details, I will promote it a bit more when all the PR stuff comes out. But keep an eye on that for the school holidays, 8th of July, Eastern Suburbs, Eastern Libraries, and get your teens booked in, or if they are interested in writing and want to learn all sorts of bits and pieces and activities, apply. Yeah, it is a small group, so jump on as soon as you can. So
Fantastic.
there you go. Yeah.
Good news. And I have got a little library thing that the Goldfields Library, which is out our way, Bendigo, Castlemaine, Wood End, Gisborne. They are simulcasting some of the Sydney Writers' Festival. So you can actually drop into the library and watch on the big screen. Sadly, not Gisborne, because we don't have, it's a small branch. We don't have the big one. But there you can book in to watch. And I was going to go and see Leanne Moriarty's, but then I got busy doing a couple of other bits and pieces because I do like her stories. They are particularly good. But yeah, so the Sydney Writers' Festival, I've seen lots of our Sydney author, writer friends on the various social medias at the various events, Lucky Ducks, going to all those things, which is fantastic. So I hope everything is great. And if you're in the Goldfields area, and I hope lots of people go to the Goldfields libraries and jump on and watch the simulcast, which is good.
That's so cool.
Two more things. One is I'm sticking to regional. So the Australian Society of Authors had a really interesting little article. So jump on to ASA or asauthors.org.au. Go to the news, look at the short story writing in regional Australia. So this is Rosalie Priest from the University of Queensland's Community Publishing in Regional Australia Research Group. Try and say that.
Three times fast.
Yep. Discusses short story publishing motivations in regional locations. So this was a guest article. Now, I'm not going to tell you the whole thing, but there was a kind of why do regional authors write short stories? That was kind of their question. They aren't a great way to make money, as we know. Most writing isn't, as we know, but not all value can be measured in currency. Short stories are ideal for honing craft and learning the ropes of the publishing industry. And I know that this is something you've banged on about with the flash fiction and all those things, how much it's honed your writing.
Yeah, absolutely.
These are also a powerful tool for preserving regional history, which is great. So that the last 3 years, the group has been investigating regional publishing activity. 11 years of data they've collected, which is absolutely fantastic. Cool. So have a look, and you can read through the whole thing. But a couple of the things is that one person says that Megan, who is the founding member of the Burdekin Writers Group, maintaining a consistent writing practice, either individually or as part of a group, is key to building a successful writing career. And the best way to do it is to write a lot. The easier to write a dozen short stories than it is to write a dozen novels. As again, harking back to Abigail.
And also my chat with John from a couple of weeks ago with the short stories, that ideas will pop up all the time, but it's actually getting them down.
Yeah, I must do that. I've been trying to keep myself focused on this damn editing, and it just sucks the joy out of me because I really want to just
talk about that later. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Right. So short stories are a way to learn the ropes of the publishing industry, etc. Have a look. Another interviewee was Jeff Close, a proud Winton resident for 40 years. He organises the Outback Writers Festival, 10th anniversary, passionate about encouraging local stories in Australian outback publishing, and he's written a number of his own books. He's got a small regional press. Fantastic. So have a look at that article. The submissions are open for that festival. Lots of bits and pieces. And it goes on to talk about a few more bits. And just have a look and investigate into community publishing in regional Australia. Go fantastic. Us, country folk.
Yes.
I don't think you qualify as country folk, but that's all right.
Well, just Hillsville. Hillsville. I'm close to Hillsville. We Yarra Glen, Hillsville. We count.
There is a bit of a green sway there. Yeah, it's good. All right. The final one to share is from Arts Hub, and the Wallara Libraries have the 2025 Wallara Digital Literary Award. They're calling for digital writers. It's national. Australian writing first published online, with prizes for fiction, non-fiction, poetry and digital innovation. So go to Arts Hub with a B, art.com.au, opportunity, and have a bit of a look. And if you've published a work online, fiction, non-fiction, poetry, or something in between, this is your chance to be recognised. With $8,500 in prizes across the 4 categories, the award celebrates the depth and diversity of digital first Australian writing. And I notice a few people are doing that, just publishing as ebooks and sort of eschewing the paperback route. So since 2017, it's attracted more than 1,000 entries. So you got Briar Lee, Vanessa Berry, Pip Smith, Sam Twyford Moore, Eloise Grills, Julie Jansen, Alice White, Jane Wilson, lots of bodies there. Michael Ahmed, read some of his stuff as well. So entries are reviewed by respected voices in the literary community and winners announced at Wallara Library at Double Bay. Entries close 14th of August. So jump on to the Arts Hub and get yourself into that if that's something that you've published digitally this year.
Fantastic. And very quickly, the Stella Prize was awarded last night or yesterday. Yes.
Yeah.
So congratulations to Michelle de Cresta, who Kretzer, sorry, for theory and practice, which is through text, so text publishing. So that was yesterday.
Very good. Text publishing sometimes send us some books, some of their authors particularly. So you never know. We might get one. Possibly not, but that's all right. Texts are very helpful, as are Temple Dark books. So we're waiting for Ishmael Soledad's. We're getting a lovely hard copy of that because it's coming from England, and Ronald, who's Temple Dark books over there, is just it's incredibly difficult to get postage or to get it printed in Australia versus American with the tariffs. And I
was going to say, which is getting worse. So it is, look, we all know books are expensive, guys, and they're only getting worse, but keep buying, keep reading. It's so important for not only for the industry and for authors, but also it's such a joy to read a book that just takes you out of your own place for a little while and into another world or a different country or whatever the case might be. It's your mental health is helped. I am a strong believer of reading. So just I know it's expensive, but
here's a thought. I saw somebody on one of the social medias as I was posting the last episode. This person said, if they're if they're a famous author and they've got multiple bestsellers, borrow it from the library. If they're a very rich person who's done a ghost-written, borrow it from the library.
Yeah.
If they're one of your friends, buy their book.
Buy their book.
If there's
and then tell people.
That's right. But they also said, even if you don't read it, it's not one of your things. If they've written a book, buy it for them, because that is going to make them.
Well, that's funny. Abigail talks about that too. So I want to chat about that afterwards as well. You had a really good chat with Abigail.
We did have a really good chat. Yes, it was lovely. All right. Book spotlights.
Let's start with The Spirit Circle by Tara Calaby, which is a speculative historical fiction. That's not enough coffee today. So for Ellen Whitfield, the betrothal of her dear friend Harriet to Ellen's brother has brought both loss and solace. But when Harriet suddenly breaks off the engagement, ostensibly at the insistence of her deceased mother, Ellen is bewildered. And when she learns that Harriet is involved with a spiritual group led by the charismatic Caroline McLeod, she fears losing her friend altogether. So it is that a practical, skeptical Ellen moves into the gloomy East Melbourne mansion where Caroline, along with her enigmatic daughter Grace, has assembled a motley crew of the bereaved. Ellen's intention is to expose the simple trickery, the hidden cabinets, rigged seances, the levers, the wires that must surely lie behind these visits from the departed. What she discovers is altogether more complicated. Tara Calaby weaves a compelling and richly detailed narrative around the romance of old Melbourne in this intriguing, possibly supernatural, historical mystery. That sounds really fascinating. It's
Yes, and we
particularly for
gave
old
that one
Melbourne.
away. We had a lot of people who wanted that one. I've got a feeling that one might have been won by Emily from Canberra.
Oh,
Because you had to say, what would you do if you moved into a scary, like a spooky East Melbourne mansion? I'd
that's
be
so
really happy because
cool.
East Melbourne is a lovely spot and be close to the city and the gardens and the treasury and all. Anyway, all right. Let alone spooky. How good would that be? All right,
That's so
Tara
cool.
Calaby, who I must say has the most delightful author photo. She looks, I was just going to, like she's up to mischief. She looks, yeah, it's a lovely photo. They've caught her just at the right moment. So Tara Calaby lives in Gippsland with her wife and far too many books. I don't think that's
I hear
true,
that.
Tara. I don't
I
think you
hear
can
that.
have too many. She's currently a PhD candidate at La Trobe University researching the social worlds of women in Victorian lunatic asylums. So that is amazing because I know in particular, having been a midwife, how many women were
Incarcerated.
institutionalized for
Yeah.
hysteria,
Hmm.
which was, 9 times out of 10 it was postnatal depression or the husband just didn't want them or, all those kind of things. Anyway,
Yeah.
lots of bits and pieces. So that would be interesting to
Mm.
read that. But in her free time, she enjoys playing video games, attempting to learn Danish, and patting other people's dogs. So that's good. Lovely. Thank you, Tara.
Okay, on to book two, The Body Next Door by Zane Lovitt, which is a suburban thriller. Everybody needs good neighbours. I know, I was just yes, yes. All right, particularly in Melbourne. Okay.
Yeah.
When Claire Coral goes missing from her home on Carnation Way, her neighbour Jamie isn't too concerned. He's busy caring for his dad, recovering from a broken heart, and eating himself into bigger pants. I hear you, Jamie. Then the police turn up. Is Claire's disappearance connected with the body found next door 13 years ago? Does Jamie's father, now grappling with dementia, know more about these events than he should? And then there's Tess, equal parts mysterious and charming, who just moved in at number 35. As Jamie asks around, an unsettling picture begins to form. Perhaps quiet, respectable Carnation Way is home to the same secrets and heartaches as any other neighbourhood, with a few more murders thrown in. Zane Lovitt, the Ned Kelly award-winning author of The Midnight Promise, returns with a gloriously entertaining and compelling suburban mystery thriller, and it does sound very compelling.
It does. I think I could have given away about a dozen. We got quite a lot.
I
Quite a
bet.
lot of people were very keen to read this one, so I'm sorry that we didn't have a dozen to give away. Zane's bio. So Zane Lovitt's debut novel, The Midnight Promise, won the Ned Kelly Award for Best First Fiction and led to Zane being named one of the best young novelists of 2013 by the Sydney Morning Herald. And he lives in Melbourne, so we've come back. This is good.
I'm
Sydney Morning
noticing a bit
Herald.
of a theme with
Uh-huh.
the book spotlights
Uh-huh.
today. A Killer
Sure.
Among Friends by Andrea Barton, which is a mystery. Soon after journalist Jade returns from abroad to her hometown, Melbourne,
Melbourne.
her friend Nick is found dead in a dumpster. Okay, that's not to laugh about, sorry.
No.
She turns to their tight-knit circle for answers, only to uncover a web of lies. Mounting evidence suggests her best friend Eleanor's suicide 3 years earlier is connected. Was she too murdered? As Jade closes in on the killer, she realizes the suspects are all people she loves. Her life depends on knowing which one of them to trust.
Ooh,
That's a
tricky.
good thriller, yeah.
That is a good thriller. And
Mm.
we're hoping to talk to possibly those last two
Hey.
people very soon, which will be lovely to have a little crime mystery chat. So Andrea is an award-winning author and fiction editor who writes the Jade Riley mysteries. Starting with The Godfather of Dance, A Killer Among Friends is book 2. She runs Brightside Story Studio, a book editing business for fiction and memoir, and is vice president of Mansfield Readers and Writers. There's a lovely part of the world. Her other writing credits include The Winding Narrative blog, several short stories, 2 picture books, and 9 stage productions about contemporary social issues. She had she has co-authored and edited 2 anthologies about expatriate life. And you may remember we chatted to her about The Godfather of Dance, which was
Yeah.
just lovely. An electrical engineer turned career consultant, Andrea spent 12 years enjoying the exhilaration and dislocation of life as an expat in Nigeria, the USA, and Qatar with her husband and 2 children. She's now repatriated to Australia, where she commutes between Melbourne and Mansfield, and along the way, she developed a passion for ballroom and Latin dance, helping to build a school, got bogged in both the Qatari and Australian deserts, and had an accidental hallucinogenic experience in Peru.
I was going to say, I do love Andrea's bio.
It's classic, isn't
Yep.
it? In high school, she achieved her Associate in Music Australia in the violin, and she's developed a lifelong love of music, which is
Wow.
brilliant.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, Holy Parrot. I'm just going to stick with Holy Parrot. Angel A, contemporary mystery magical realism. I love good magical realism. Holy Parrot reflects humanity's shift from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius, a transformation from authoritarian rule to an era of personal freedom, sovereignty, and humanitarianism. I wonder if we're going back. Set in a Caribbean paradise and narrated through magical realism, Mary, assisted by her parrot, reveals 3 keys for transitioning into self-awareness. She introduces a new prayer for our times, while Leo, an Australian scientist, endeavours to reconcile these mystical elements with scientific understanding. So that sounds really interesting. By
Yes.
Angel A.
Yes. So Angel A is an Australian writer and filmmaker who shares insights and experiences of varied cultures through narratives that are compelling, inspiring, and insightful. Mary Poser was Angel's highly awarded, steamy, inspirational, and revealing first novel. The second novel, Holy Parrot, is a captivating mystery that seamlessly weaves together elements of culture, religion, science, and human emotion. Angel's passion for story reveals a richly diverse world of conflict, love, and hope. And we had Mary Poser, which you're going to read about. There's also a YA version, and that's the version that we gave away an ebook of that, which the person
That's right,
absolutely
yeah.
loved, which was brilliant.
Yes.
And yes, and the giveaway, and wrote a fabulous review on 3 different platforms. So if you are interested as an author to give us one of your stories, share one of your stories to give away, we're really happy to promote that through our
Yeah.
many hundreds of subscribers. And yeah, it's more exposure. It's a chance. No guarantees of the reviews, but our readers are very good. They're very loyal, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. So, a little bit about Mary Poser by Angel A is about the protagonist's complex journey of self-discovery as she navigates family expectations, romantic entanglements, and an unexpected near-death experience. The story showcases Mary's internal struggles with faith, love, and personal identity as she grapples with her feelings for the charming Indian filmmaker Simha, while simultaneously trying to maintain a relationship with her long-term boyfriend Jaxon. Mary's encounters with her family, friends, and colleagues illustrate the diverse perspectives and challenges she faces in her quest for personal growth and fulfillment.
There you go.
So there
So
we
Angel
go.
A, and I
Yes.
think that
Angel's
he is
A.
on Laurie's list
Yes.
for a chat in the near future. I'll just keep saying the near
Indeed.
future because we'll get to
Yes.
people as soon as we can. Yes,
We have a big list.
that we've got a big list, and it's lovely that we don't want to turn anyone away, regardless of what you publish and where you've published, how you published. We're keen to chat to you about your books and your writing journey. All right, give us the
All
next
right.
one.
Last Saturday in Invermay by Zane Pinner, which is a contemporary. So 5 suburban teenagers, one hectic Saturday. Jake doesn't go looking for trouble, but still finds it. Maynard realizes that he is attracted to his best mate. Dylan needs a chance to show everyone he's the real deal, and Stephanie just wants a couple of hours to herself. But when Brad unwittingly steals cash and weed from a Marauders motorcycle club, he sets off
Whoa.
a series of violent confrontations that will change the course of all their lives. Will it be their last Saturday in Invermay?
Woohoo. So Zane Pinner, our second Zane for today, is a writer and artist from Tasmania, Australia. He likes playing guitar, swimming in the ocean, and watching his family grow. He's worked in the screen industry for over 20 years and is currently a producer at the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. The ABC. Very good. One more, people. One more.
Right. Book 7 for today is Love Connection series, Saoirse's Story by A.M. Jaxon, which is a romantic thriller. So, 2 gunshots, 2 continents, one fateful day in January 1997. In Ireland, Saoirse Mahoney walks into a bank and straight into an armed robbery. That day, she decides she'll do whatever it takes to leave her small town behind. In Australia, when Daniela Malone is told a single bullet has taken the life of her husband Ryan, a police officer, she vows not to try and make sense of his death, but to work to lessen the number of women who die at the hands of men. Their worlds are about to collide. Saoirse lands in Brisbane, determined to reinvent herself. As a legal secretary for Daniela, she finds not just a mentor in the widowed lawyer, but an unbreakable bond. When the unhinged office IT geek Chad Merritt begins an unhealthy fixation on Saoirse, she realizes she needs Daniela's help more than ever. The world might consider them weaker, but women are stronger in many ways. And if they feel alone and beaten down, there are people who will support and fight for them. That's why Chad Merritt picked the wrong bitch to mess with. Make that bitches. Daniela clinked her glass to Saoirse's. Saoirse continues to throw herself into her new life, but struggles to escape the weight of her past. Just as she finds real love, an unstoppable hatred re-emerges to hunt her again. Old betrayals, past lovers, and hidden enemies threaten to destroy everything she's worked for. With nowhere left to run, she must make a choice: break or rise and become the woman she was always meant to be. Saoirse's journey intertwines with the stories of 7 other women, each battling their own demons, addictions, and pasts. Their stories blend together in a powerful testament to strength and sisterhood. Love Connections, Saoirse's Story, isn't just about romance. It's about resilience. It's about women taking back power, embracing their sexuality, facing their fears, and fighting for their freedom. It's about revenge, redemption, and the unpredictable ways love finds us in the midst of chaos. While this book stands alone, Saoirse's Story is just the beginning. The adventure continues in the Love Connection, Joshua's Story.
There you go. That, yeah, I can sense a bit of a theme happening here with Laurie with some of the things that we have been talking about.
Yes.
Let's read you AM's bio. So AM Jaxon grew up in an idyllic, sometimes dodgy, small town in far north Queensland of the 1970s and 80s Australia. Leaving small town Queensland, she headed out into the world to study pharmacy before using this medical background to explore and work around the world. These different paths have seen her experience many adventures and misadventures firsthand, which delivers a unique edge to her novels. AM writes about resilient women of all backgrounds and temperaments who endure what life throws at them. A newcomer to the romantic suspense genre, she loves highlighting human nature's complex, uplifting, and dangerous aspects in all its glorious frailties. After working for several years in pharmacy, she went slightly insane to study and receive a PhD in business. If anyone can go only slightly insane doing that, I would have agree, having seen some friends go through their PhD. Why, people? Anyway. Either way, when each year became too much, like a cookie cutter impression of the last, she decided to follow her passion and write romantic suspense from her home in Perth, Western Australia. She lives with her very organised but messy husband and wily Westie, while her daughters have flown the coop to have their own adventures. When not writing, she coaches hockey and is a mad fan of any sport except maybe synchronised swimming. Okay. AM's never met a rum she didn't like, dislikes coffee, and has an eclectic taste in music, preferably playing loud. Most of all, she enjoys a good laugh with friends over a decent meal while watching the sunset over the ocean. And those sunsets up in Western Australia over the ocean are magnificent. There you go.
That's
7
fantastic.
brilliant stories.
Yeah.
Lots more on the website. Please jump on and have a look, and you'll see that the website is slowly changing. The colours are there, and yes, we've got the template for the authors happening as we speak. So this is
I was exploring that myself the
Oh,
other
are you?
day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm loving the new colors. It's
Good.
looking great.
Yeah, it is looking good. We are getting there, which is delightful. So thanks to the fabulous Holly Mewett, who is doing that for me between all her other things, which is fantastic. All right. After book spotlights, it's time for interview with Abigail Mader. Let's go. Welcome, book lovers. Delighted to say that I have with me authors from one of my favourite genres, fantasy genres. I have West Australian author Abigail Mader. Welcome to Australian Book Lovers.
Hello, I'm excited to chat to you and let your listeners have a hear about the book and everything.
Yes, and more than one book I saw on social media that you might have finished number 3 book. So I think we've got a little bit to cover.
Definitely a bit to cover.
All right, Abigail, I'm coming to the listeners tonight from the very chilly Woiwurrung country in Wurundjeri here in southeast Victoria. Who are the traditional owners where you are?
We are Wonju. We're down in Esperance, so yes, it's different to Perth. So yeah, we're the Wonju tribe down here.
Yeah, fantastic. And we've just decided that you're warmer than where we are today. So
today, every day is a little bit different. So yes,
very good.
Nights are definitely cold though, definitely.
There you go. All right, I'm going to let the listeners know. I'm going to read your bio that we have here, and it gives them a little bit of a heads up. Very short little bio, but just gives them a little bit of a hint. So Abigail Mader is an indie author from Australia, as we've just mentioned. She loves the fantasy genre, and she loves getting lost in magical worlds, and has done since she was little. Her favourite author was Enid Blyton, which I'll see if I can pin her down to which particular Enid Blyton book in a minute. And today her love of fantasy has grown. When she's not reading or writing, she loves spending time with her family and days out in the beautiful Australian countryside. And Esperance is an absolutely beautiful part of the world. So, days out with the family would be good. Yeah, so
lovely spots.
Beach, country, what's your favourite?
I love the beach. I have to say, it's just the salt air and things, and the creatures you can see in the ocean. It's just beautiful. On the good days.
Tell me a little bit about Enid Blyton. Which were your favourite Enid Blyton stories? Because she was prolific.
She was. I love the magical faraway tree. That was one of my favourites, just because every time they went in the clouds, it was a different world. So for me, that was just something else, just never knowing what you were going to get, but it was always fun. So
and I guess as a writer, if you think about it as a writing tool, it meant that she could just keep throwing stories out each time she had an idea. She'd just stick them up in the clouds and away they'd go.
Exactly. It was always something different. Like I said, whatever pops in your head, you can run with it.
It's been a long time since I've read the Faraway Tree, but I did buy them all for my children to make sure that they had an opportunity to have a read as well. Because she did write some great stories, and stories that were simple but adventurous and fun. It was good.
It's amazing how many she did write, because like I sort of look back, at my own shelves from when I was little, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many books. I can't believe how many I had myself.
Well, of course, now they're probably collector's items, so don't be giving them away. Do you think that starting with books like Enid Blyton put you on the road to being a fantasy writer yourself?
Oh, I'd definitely say yes, because it just opened up a whole world of knowing that you can do anything with your imagination. You're not limited to the world around you. So it really opened the world of fantasy to me, that you can do anything, and it's a genre that I'd just love to read. So naturally it was the one to write in.
Yeah, for sure. And you have created an absolutely fabulous, the Kingdom of Ethos is wow, you've just got so much in there. And I will admit, I've started reading the Crystal Dynasty book 1, but I haven't had time, unfortunately, to finish it before I could chat to you. But things got away from me. Tell me then, about the world of ethos. Actually, you know what? Before we do that, let's read the blurb for
Yeah.
book 1, which is A Kingdom Divided. So the series is The Crystal Dynasty. The first book is
Yes.
A Kingdom Divided. A great treachery, a kingdom torn asunder, a dethroned queen seeking justice. For a millennium, the prosperous land of ethos revelled in the protection of the divine spirit and the unshakable bond of the royal family. But all that changed with a devastating betrayal within the monarchy. Consumed by the desire to rule, the king's older sister, Eleanor, kills the king and imprisons the queen. Firmly seated on her new throne, Eleanor craves absolute power and fixates on reassembling the lost magical shards of ethos. With them, she will become the supreme ruler. In the wake of treachery, the young twins are forced to flee, finding refuge in the care of their mystical grandfather. The looming question is whether he can shield them from the clutches of the ruthless traitor queen, or if their mother, the imprisoned queen, can escape to reunite with her children. Believing her family dead, all hope seems lost for Cecilia. But when the high priestess visits her with news of her twins, she is filled with new life and determination. Planning a daring escape, she knows she must get away. It's the only way to protect her children and save ethos from a vindictive and heartless tyrant, Eleanor. The one who reunites the crystal shards will reign supreme. There you go. That's a pretty impressive blurb. There's a lot in that story.
Yes, there is a lot happening, a lot of point of views. So you're
Yes,
really getting involved with it all.
yes.
Yeah, so very busy.
Tell us then, where did the story come from? What inspired the Kingdom of Ethos and the Crystal Dynasty?
Yeah, so Alador was sort of the first character that popped into my head,
Mhm.
and it just sort of ran from there.
Wow.
And
Started with the
I,
villain.
yeah, it started with the villain weirdly, and it was just sort of, and then it kept building on from there into this massive world that it sort of, yeah, really did develop over time. Yeah, I just sort of the characters sort of took over in a way, and it got a lot bigger than what I was expecting because I thought it was going to be more of a shorter series, like maybe one book, and it just kept growing. And because it's a villain's point of view, it was a lot more interesting, I found, to write, I think.
Yes. Isn't that interesting how, and I think particularly, I know Laurie and I have, my co-presenter, have talked in the past about how a villain kind of can make a story,
Yeah.
if you get them and they're morally grey, as,
Yes.
described, and they challenge you to think about actions and behaviors,
Yeah.
all those kind of things, manipulation and intent. Yeah, they can really make or break a story. So you started with Eleanor and then it
Yeah.
just evolved.
It did, and I wanted the polar characters. So obviously the protagonist and antagonist are both female. It's
Hmm.
although multiple point of views, it's Cecilia against Eleanor, really, essentially, and
Yeah.
showing family dynamics aren't always, perfect, and we don't always
Yes.
get along. And
Yeah.
yeah, and it's sort of I wanted that, yeah, little contrast of good and evil and what it looks like, and like I said, morally grey.
Mm.
What does that look like? And Eleanor's a character, she's the villain, but she thinks she's obviously right. So you're seeing her reasoning behind things, and we, the readers, know it's wrong, but to her, she's completely in the right.
Yeah. Sounds logical, and yeah, she's
Yeah,
hard done by.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So and so this is adult, it's epic fantasy, it's dark fantasy
yes,
because there's, some, dare we say it, some violence and action happening there.
yeah.
Was there ever a thought in your mind about the current YA romantasy genre that seems to have absolutely gone gangbusters, that you should shape it to be something like that?
Um, well, it when I first started it, I actually was going to be more young adult when I did start it, but because it was Eleanor mainly, it did get quite dark. So I did sort of want it to be quite young adult in way because it follows the twins, and the
Mm.
other book, the twins are older, so
Right.
it's a bit more you're following their story in a way as
Yeah.
well. But because of quite dark themes with Eleanor, and she does quite violent and things, it sort of went more adult. But in theory, it was going to be more of that young adult kind of focus with the, you know, good and evil and everything and right and wrong. But yeah.
I love that you've put in the family dynamics, that you've got two
Yeah.
strong women kind of battling out of you know,
Yeah.
either end of the argument or the relationship or whatever that is. So, and as I said, I haven't finished it, so I'm no spoilers, no spoilers. But what I thought might be lovely is do you mind if I read the book 2, The Quest Begins? So this is out already. Yes,
this is out. Yes.
Beautiful. All right. So book 2 is The Quest Begins. A kingdom in turmoil, a ruthless queen's reign. For every secret revealed, another mystery unfolds. So if you haven't read A Kingdom Divided and you don't want spoilers, just put me on silent for a minute and come back in a couple of minutes. All right. 8 years have passed, and the kingdom of Ethos remains under the iron rule of the ruthless Queen Eleanor. But not everything is going according to her plan. Forces are gathering to challenge her reign, and the quest for the crystal shards has begun. Ava and Jacob, leaving the safety of Middleback Farm, embark on a perilous journey to seek the shards that hold the power to change their world. Meanwhile, George finds himself entangled in a web of deceit and danger, his fate intertwined with the kingdom's future. Celia, determined to find and aid her children, searches for the rebels who might be their only hope. But time is running out, and the stakes have never been higher. Can she find them before it's too late? In a world where magic flows, villains rule, and the line between good and evil is blurred, the battle for ethos is about to begin. Will the forces of light prevail, or will darkness reign supreme? Okay, I'll just wave for anyone who's watching. Come on back, so no spoilers. How hard was it to write the sequel?
Surprisingly not as difficult. I think because, like I said earlier, it was going to be a smaller book, and I kind of erratic with my writing, and I get into a character's head and I'll sort of run with them for a bit, and if a scene pops in, I'll write it. So I did kind of write a bit of the middle, a bit of the end, a bit of the beginning, all over the place. So when I got to book 2, I did have a chunk of it already there in a way, and because it was following on, I already knew where it was going to go. I think the challenge in this was that time jump. So it's that making sure the reasoning why the time jump would have happened made sense. And, you know, people are brought up to speed without giving too much away and making sure it's coherent and things. But it was fun to write. The ending, doing the ending for the final book was a bit trickier.
Had to wind everything up and tie up all those loose knots.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you have just finished book 3. Are you allowed to share the title?
Yes, I've called it A Knife's Edge.
Ooh, very good.
So yeah.
Very good. You don't have to come up with the blurb, because I know that's
literally
just at the end of your fingers. It's within days ago. Yeah,
exactly.
Which is fantastic. Yeah.
Just finished. So that's my next task, is attempting the blurb for book 3. So I sort of finished and went, oh, now I have to try and think of a blurb.
Yeah, which entices people but doesn't give away, you know, all the juicy bits in there.
Yeah.
And do you have any idea how many thousand words the whole series is together, roughly?
So altogether it's be over 300,000 words altogether.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah,
that's
a lot,
a lot of fantasy.
Yeah.
But, you know, us epic fantasy readers, we love a good brick of a book so that we can get into it and dive into it. Can you tell me then, this is where we got sidetracked, tell me a little bit about the world of ethos. So what did you want to put in that, and where did all of that imagination come from?
Yeah, so when I was creating the world, I wanted to make it quite real, but also, you know, different aspects, different parts. So you've got like a bit basically real world as much in a way. It's sort of medieval setting, the time frames, but I sort of wanted, you know, how we have different states in a way, but they're known for different things as well. So when they're traveling to different areas of the world in different cities and towns, there would be the one that's more of the arts kind of thing, and then there'd be one that's more of the food focus because it's more farming industry area. But then I also wanted a bit extreme, like being that it's fantasy, you can be a bit more fun with the weather. Like you don't have to be so strict. So I wanted the nice snowy mountains, and I wanted the mines, and I wanted a desert types thing. So when they're traveling, especially the twins, as they move around now on their own adventure, you're really brought into the world. It comes more alive because you're seeing elements of the world through
Fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah, so much to draw on in Australia, let alone in your own mind, by the sounds.
Exactly. Yeah.
And tell me your favourite character to write. I've got a bit of a sense I might know that, but who is your favourite character?
I do. It does chop and change when I'm writing because I get really focused, but I do say it probably is Eleanor, being that she was the one that came to mind first, and
she's been
sort
with
of
you the
made it.
longest.
She made it all happen in a way. But I do sort of get in that zone of writing, and then you just fall in love with that character because you're in their mindset, and certain characters you see yourself in things when you're writing, and you're like, oh, that's quite like me in a way, and it's for some of them. So it's some of them, that Ava, when she's in, you see bits of her, and I can see traits of me in her and things, and so it's nice. You're putting yourself on the page without meaning to, but yeah.
And you can make yourself braver or
Exactly.
smarter or more eloquent if you want.
It's like, you're me. You're going to be, you're going to be all the things I wish I could be.
Yes. And we're allowed to do that. And also we're allowed to be mean to people that are mean to us and kill them off in stories as well.
Exactly.
That's, that is a writer's right that we're allowed to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. The fantasy elements. So there's just a little hint of magic in there.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the evolution of that, how much you decided to put in and who gets it and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so it's sort of it's earth magic, like it's drawn from the earth and the elements. So it's it was sort of like that. It's meant to be the royal family because they're the guardians of the land in a way. So, and that's where the crystal was meant to be, and it was looked after, and they're overseeing the land and everything. But then obviously through marriage and things, and then you have kids and then cousins, and so it has that little bit of trickle down effect in a way, but it is usually only the royal family that would have the main power kind of thing, but it's also influenced by people's personalities and whether they're good or bad to how it reacts to them, which you see with Eleanor in particular. You notice the bad side of it, and so it's, but then there's also priestesses in there, so but they're different because they're connected to the divine spirit, so they have their own sort of connection in a way. So they're offset to the royal family because they know more about it because they've got the main connection in a way.
Okay. How does it feel then to have all of that completed, to have the series done?
Yeah,
so to speak?
It feels really good to have it done now and be like, but also bittersweet because it's like you've been working on it so long that it's like, oh, that's actually it now. It's done. It's going to be weird.
How long have you been working on it? When did the first idea, when did it pop into your mind?
I started like over 10 years ago that I've been working on it, but it's been on and off, starting and stopping, and then you keep building on it, and then it's it just took a few years ago, it just took a life of its own, and it was just that it's there and you're just doing it all. So it was a long time coming, and then now it's weird because I'm like, oh, I've written the end essentially now, and what can I do next kind of thing.
That's it. Well, have you got in mind something to do next? I mean, I know that book 3 just done, you've got a little bit of work to do on that and some editing.
Still got the edits and things, but I'd like to have a go at some shorter novels, just because doing such a big like fantasy thing, it's kind of taxing on your brain a bit. So it'd be nice to do some shorter ones. But I have got ideas as well that's still in the realm of the books, but with side characters kind of thing.
Yes,
So
fantastic.
yeah.
Some
So
spin-offs.
yeah, a few spin-offs with a few that I want to do. So that might happen as well soon.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's look at your writing process if we could. You've kind of admitted you're a bit of a pantser. It was just listen to the story and bits of pieces. You'd write a scene. Yep, next one, away they go.
Yeah.
Tell me then, did you have a kind of writing routine? You know, you said a couple of years ago it kind of took on a life of its own. What was the trigger for that, do you think, that got you into more steady writing?
I think it was the fact that I accepted that I was more of a pantser. I think what hindered me was, you know, it's good to obviously look at advice and the way to write, but if it's not for you, it doesn't work, because I was looking at you need to plot everything perfectly and you need to have this and that. And I think that's what hindered me, because I was like, oh, you're supposed to do it like this. And then when I just went, no, do you know, I'm just going to write because it's all there. I know what it is. I don't need to plot it. Then that's when it clicked, and I was like, no, just do it my way. And then,
Perfect.
yeah. And then I can just sit and write. And like I said, once I'm in the zone, I'll just focus on characters and I usually do 2 or 3 chapters for each character, and then I'll move to the next character, so that it's all sort of try to keep in that same timeline and things, so that I don't get lost with who's where and what's happening. So yeah.
This is good. Look, I absolutely agree. I thought of all of the plotting that it would just kill every single little joy that I had of just exploring and letting your brain just pour out onto the page.
Yeah, because I was like, it's in my head. I know what's going to happen. Like, I know what I want to happen. It's all in there. But the thought of having to write it, you know, what's going to happen here. I was like, no, just type and go.
Get it out there. Yeah. Tell me about editing then. So you've written the first book and you've got it there. How long did it take you to edit, or how many runs of editing did you do?
Yeah, so what I normally do is I just write the whole thing out, and then I'll go back and then I'll edit as much as I can, and then I go back again, and then I do that just final spelling and grammar kind of check to make sure everything's right. So it's usually like 3 sweeps of it, and then it'll go to my editor, and she'll do it properly. But I try and get it, you know, as clean as I can. Get it, you know. So, and then it'll go to the editor, and then she'll have it. I've told her the workout, so she said it should take like up to 6 to 8 weeks, depending, you know. So yes, and then when get it back from her, then it'll be I go through it, and then one more sweep again, and then it'll be done and ready to go.
Beautiful. All right. The decision to go traditional or indie, where were you with that?
I wanted to go indie because I am someone who very much, I like to do things myself anyway. And I just, being indie, you can do things on your timeline and things. And that's what I like. Because I was like, book 1's done and ready. I don't want to wait possibly years for it to, because even if they get picked up quickly, it's still on their timeline, and it can take years and things, and till things are published. I was like, no, I can literally do this now. I've done it, and and I'm enjoying the marketing, so it's good.
Wow, that's
I
not
enjoy
something you
doing
hear
it.
very often.
I know. Sometimes I'm like, oh gosh, what can I post, you know, but I do enjoy that side of it. So I think that helps. If you're not someone who likes the marketing side, it's not really a great fit, I think. But if you don't mind it, and so I like doing the videos thing, is that control, because it's you're in control of what you're posting and doing and things. So
very good. What do you think has been the most successful marketing or tools, I guess, that you use? And you mentioned social media. Is a particular platform that works best for you, do you think, or best for books?
I think no matter what, I think it's just word of mouth in the first place to get at the end of the day, it's other readers talking about your book. But I'm finding for me, like Threads and Instagram seem to be the place for me where I'm getting more both authors and readers connecting. So yeah, and for books, so that's good. TikTok, I'm sort of, I'm not sure. I try, but I know lots of people have good success on there, but I'm slowly making progress. But I think Threads and Instagram is definitely where I've made a lot more connections, and the community's more. I'm in that book community, so it's nice.
Yeah, fantastic. Is there anything in your past professional life that's helped you along the way? Got a secret marketing background or anything like that?
Not in the marketing. I am a teacher by day, so I think I'm used to having to talk and do things. Like if it's very much even if I don't feel I've like a bit nervous or stuff, it's still I'm used to just being like just do it anyway, because normally it's to a class of kids I'm teaching to, so I'm used to that kind of thing. And funnily enough, because I'm in a school, I'm constantly using tech with the kids, so I'm actually learning a bit more because it's certain tools and things they use. So I'm like, oh, it's actually handy for me in this side of things.
Excellent, tuck that one away.
Exactly. I'm like, oh, this is a good app. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Okay, so there's a little bit of help there, which is good.
Yeah.
Tell me then, the story, the first book has been A Kingdom Divided. It's been out for a little while. What is the best feedback that you've ever heard, or that that you've reviewed, that you've heard about the book?
Yeah, the best I've been getting is that it plays like a movie that in their heads.
That's lovely.
Yeah, they said the word building's just like nice, just perfect, so they can see what they're reading, and I think that's basically the best thing. Because I like seeing what you're reading is just, for myself, is amazing. So it's like, and that's what I was aiming for. I wanted people to lose themselves in the book and see the world. So that was the best, getting to read that.
You love that reader, whoever they were, say thank you. Made my day. That's just
exactly.
Good. Tell me, of the fantasy readers that you read yourself, what are some of your favorite authors that whose works you admire?
So in the trad world, it was very much recently, like The Wheel of Time with Robert Jordan's. I've loved that. That was fantastic.
It was fantastic.
But then in like the indie world, like I've fallen in love with Kate Shumner's series, the Call of the Sea, the Grail cycle. So it's like but it's like off the Arthurian legends kind of thing. So it's very much what I love as well. So it's just seeing the world building and the way she's crafted the characters and things. So I just love big fantasy worlds, like just big,
involved,
the more
complex.
books, the better.
Robert Jordan's work was fantastic, and like many of the world and his family as well were horrified when he passed early, unfortunately. But I think Brandon Sanderson did a mammoth job of putting together all those notes and pull it together, and you don't pick that there's a difference. He did it
very well,
really strong.
And he kept it true to it.
Yes, he did. How many times have you watched the Wheel of Time series on the telly? We've got 3 seasons out.
I know. I have watched season 1 twice now. And then I rewatched. Basically, every time the next one comes out, I rewatch. So
it's important. You've got to do that.
You've got to. So I've watched 3 once now, and then when the next one comes, I'll rewatch. Because then it refreshes your brain, and you can get lost back into it again.
When the books came out, I was, because I started reading them before, of course, many of them were finished. I had to go back and reread.
And I've reread the series many times.
That's a big task. And I might have skipped a few of the dress descriptions and a few bits and go, I know that bit. But a great story. Love those books.
Oh, they are. They're amazing.
Very good. Okay, so advice then
Yes.
for the best advice you've been given, first of all, let's go with that one.
Yeah, the best that I've probably been given is to write for yourself kind of thing, and not to focus on what's popular and things, because that chops and changes. And if you're writing for the sake of writing, sometimes it doesn't, it comes across for readers as well. And you might not really, your heart's not really in it, and it might not be as fun. So that would be my advice that I've had, is that write for yourself. And I've taken that on, because it's
and filled books full of all the things that you love, which is
exactly.
Yeah, and there are plenty of us fantasy readers out there who love that. All right.
Yeah.
What about advice for somebody considering, they're at the start of their 10-year journey to write their epic fantasy? What advice would you give them?
Probably to seek advice as well from others in the genre, and talk to people and build that community as well with other writers and readers as well. But because the writers have all been through it and done it, so they know and can really help. Because as a writer, you do struggle a lot with imposter syndrome. Like, as much as you love your work, like, there are those days when you're just like, oh my gosh, what am I doing, and things. But and still the whole, just find what works for you and focus on, and just keep doing what works for you, and trial and error. If something doesn't work, find another way, and just keep going. Don't give up, basically.
Good advice. Yeah, particularly the writing. Find your writing community. Find your writer people, because much as your friends and your family love you, they don't actually.
They don't get it as well.
They'll give you space and that, but when you say, "Oh, I've got this character," and you can see them looking at you, trying to understand, but it's not the same as if you talk to someone who's read your work and goes, "Oh, yeah, but they wouldn't do that because they did this in the first scene." And you go, "Oh, you get me." That's right.
And if you have an idea and things, you can just quickly message, or something amazing's just happened, you can just message someone and be like, "Oh, I just wrote this and things, and what do you think of this?" And they can help and cheer you on, and
it's good. Tell me a little bit about your covers, because I know you've got the beautiful crystal on the front. Yeah, tell us about those.
So I've got artist Jasmine. She does the covers for me, but I wanted each image to represent something to do with the story. So obviously book one's the shards, book two's got riddles in it, so that's where that came from. And she actually asked, she's amazing, the artist, because she asked about what each riddle represented, and then because you notice on the cover they're all slightly different, because I was like, this one's near water and this one's in the mountains, so she sort of designed them around, which is amazing, because I didn't even think to do, you don't think to do certain things, and she's like, okay, so I'll tweak them all to do it. And it was very much collaboration with how it's going to look, the first book, because obviously they've all got that same background but different colors. And I had ideas for different colors for different books, but she's great, and she does like the color wheel, so and she'll run it through in a video with me so I can see what every color looks like for the books, because I was like, I want book two to be red, and then when it came to it, I was like, oh gosh, no, that does not work with the background. So that's how that came out. And book three's a work in progress at the moment, but it's going to be a red. So we're just designing a couple more elements to make sure it fits the story as well. But no, it's been fun making them and matching the colors to suit the images and everything.
That's good. Perfect example of it takes almost a village to put a book together.
It does.
You've got the writer, but you've got your editor, and you've got your cover designer, and you've got all of those people reviewing it, and let alone before it gets to the readers. Yeah,
exactly. There's a lot more that don't think like when you first start, you just think I'm writing a book and that's it. And then when you get to it, it's like, oh no, I need this, and this.
But as an indie author, it's a bit of
is.
a learning journey, isn't it?
It
And
is.
I think
Yeah.
as a teacher, you've probably got a background in that curiosity of
Yeah.
finding out more and working out how to do
Exactly.
that so that you can tell the children.
Exactly.
But not in this instance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that you will continue being, producing your own books, being an indie publisher?
Yeah, I think so, because I just love it and I love doing it myself, and because
Yeah.
you can check everything and yourself, and it's definitely hard, like building up an audience in the first place and
Yeah.
getting going, but I'm seeing, progress constantly. So it's like,
That's
yeah,
good.
one day it'll get to where I want it to be. So
Yes. Yeah, and you'll be able to give up your day job, but that's our dream, all of us,
it
isn't it?
is, it is. We all want to just be home, write and
And
read,
write
essentially.
forever, yes, and
Yeah,
have a team who could take it off our hands to go, yes, we'll fix that for you. Just go back to
exactly.
writing. Okay,
Yeah,
great.
yeah. It's like, thank you.
Oh, very good. Abigail, where can people find you? Where's the best place? You mentioned Instagram and
Yes.
Threads, but what's your handle there?
For Instagram, I did recently change it slightly, but it's abigail.mader_author.
Mhm.
Yeah, on Instagram and Threads.
And
It's the
Threads as
same one
well.
on there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And your website, I'm going to share with people that your website is, I know I've just made it go away. Your website is abigailmaderauthor.com.au, and you can have
Yeah.
a read. And there's a little bit about you've got a blog as well, a
Yeah.
little bit about the world, about ethos, and you can see those beautiful covers that we've just talked about. So, yeah. Really good, and we can't wait for the third one to come out. So I need to get reading, and then get the second book, and wait impatiently for the third.
Yeah, it should come this year, fingers crossed. And
Very
yeah,
good, very good.
yeah.
Anything else you'd like to share with the readers? Why should they pick up the Crystal Dynasty?
Yeah, I think readers who just love epic fantasy will fall in love with it, but it's not just, and it's got, the villain's tale in there as well, female villain as well, which makes it more interesting. So multiple point of views, but it's not just it, like I said before, it's family based. So it's not just, the villain versus the protagonist. It's got a lot of love and heart in there with the family dynamics, and the twins in there you'll fall in love with, and Grandpa George. There's just so many lovable characters. But then it's also, got a bit of dark, but a lot of there is some humor in there and fun, and it's definitely a fun magic world that you'd love to read.
Absolutely. And as I said, I've started and I'm already loving it. So that's a good thing.
That's good. Yes.
So Abigail Mader, epic fantasy author from the beautiful sunny Esperance over at WA. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you to the lovely Abigail Mader. That was a brilliant chat that you had with her. I love it. Love a good fantasy chat. It's always always
it's
fun.
like you just know the language that people are speaking. I love all our authors, and I'd learn something from somebody every time. It's just fantastic.
It really is. And
Yep.
Certainly with Abigail, she went through so many really interesting things. I myself am a massive fan of the Magic Faraway Tree.
Yes.
Enid Blyton books. They were all my favorites when I was little. And
Yes.
I've actually got one or two or three even of my original copies, one of which the whole cover has completely come off. So I need to get that repaired. But I do have my originals, so it shows the history is still there. It's such fun fantasy books.
Yeah, and easy.
Anything could happen.
That's right. Anything could happen. Yep.
Also, morally grey characters, which was fascinating to listen to Abigail talk about, because it's funny. I was listening to the SSF Addicts podcast this week, where they were actually talking to Joe Abercrombie about how to write unlikable characters. And so it's interesting with the morally grey characters, and are they Are they good? Are they bad? How do we make them an interesting character? And Abigail was talking about that as well with the villain thinks they're right and that everyone's the hero of their story. And I love the idea that she found Eleanor the more interesting character to write, the morally grey character. So
Yeah.
no, I love that with the protagonist and the antagonist both being women, showing that mirror of good and evil throughout the
Mm,
story. So that
mm.
that I found really fascinating to listen to her talk about that and
Yeah.
how when she started writing that it started off it started off YA but
With the
turned dark.
Yeah, it got darker, and
Yep.
I'm with her on that one. And
Mhm.
as you start to write, you think, oh, okay, that's
Yeah.
not good for young people to read. Just leave that bit out. Okay, it's an adult fantasy now,
Yep,
right?
yep, yep.
And the world building, I
Mhm.
love all the world building that she's got.
Yeah.
I'm about a third of the way through A Kingdom Divided, and there's lots of lovely world building in there. And I think the gift of good world building is that it puts you, like one of her reviewers said, as though you could see the movie,
In the movie.
but you
Yeah.
don't overwhelm people with so much detail that they can't
Yeah.
imagine it themselves. And I think,
Yeah.
as you were saying earlier, that writing stimulates your brain, and it's it changes your mood and all those kind of things.
Mm.
And it does that by letting you use your own neural pathway. So that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did like
Yeah.
that. Um,
Absolutely. Although she enjoys marketing. Come
I
on,
just that was
Abigail.
my
Come
next thing.
on.
Marketing. What the hell, Abigail? That's what I said to her. Whoa.
We need to do some training in marketing because that's the one thing as writers,
Yes.
we don't, we're not trained in it. That's not what we go into books to do
No,
marketing, but it's
that's right.
become more and more n- a necessary evil with, particularly with indie books, because
Yeah.
obviously you don't have a marketing
You are the
department
only
behind
person
you.
yet. Mm.
Yeah, but even with the bigger and the traditional
Yeah,
publishers now, they're
there's
really
the obligation to
yeah,
do a lot of your own work
they
anyway.
rely
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
So it really does show. And, they say, oh, you don't have to have a social media profile and all this sort of thing, but it is a way of
Yeah,
getting your work out
it
and
is.
letting
Yeah.
other people know about it. So,
Yeah, and connecting with other authors and, seeing
yeah,
bits and pieces, and there's opportunities that come up. And I mean, I've learned so much from
yeah,
people generous enough to share things on social media.
yeah,
My writing is so much better than it would be had I
yeah,
kept myself in the dark and not been there. And you got
yeah,
to make mistakes and put things out there.
yeah,
But it does take a village to write and publish a book. They
it
say it
does.
takes a village to raise a child. Well, um,
Well, and these days,
yeah.
an author has to be that village.
Yes. Today
It's
I've got my
so
hat on,
hard.
then I've got my other hat on, and then
But
I've got my other
but
hat
you
on.
do.
Yeah,
It's like when
yeah.
you do put it in your mind of, okay, so today I'm going to spend an hour or half an hour on some writing or some editing or whatever it might be.
Mm,
You actually have to now plan for, I now have to spend half an hour on marketing or half an hour on promotion, half an hour on social media, whatever it might be. It takes up a lot of your time.
yeah,
A
it
lot of your
absolutely
time.
does. Yeah.
So, but it was interesting also, Abigail was talking about that the self-doubt and the imposter syndrome at one point,
Yes.
which I always find an interesting topic. And I thought actually that's a good thing to have a quick chat about. And we could probably spend a lot more time than a quick chat. But
Yes.
I was looking at, okay, so imposter syndrome, which is a lack of confidence in oneself and one's abilities and being unable to take credit for one's accomplishments. So I go through like okay, I have 7 books published. I am editing book 2 of my White Fire series. I've got YA books. I've finished my series. I've proven that I can write a book. I've
And
pro
sell a book,
I've
and
proven I
not
can sell
just
a
a book, but
book.
a great book and a great series, and more
Yeah,
than one.
exactly. And so I've proven all of that. I shouldn't have self-doubt and imposter syndrome, and I still get it. And every now and then I will really go into that dark headspace. And I think a lot of us authors potentially do, and certainly a lot of women do. So I thought, what are the sorts of things that I use to get myself out of that headspace? Because I do. I 100% fall into that. And it's because it's that back of the mind negative talk, or it's that yeah, but when you're thinking about your work, or for me, it's not because I'm not looking for compliments. I'm not, tell me I'm wonderful, kind of. That's not what I'm looking for. But in the back of my head, probably because when I was a little kid, I was always told, be quieter. So be smaller, don't be so over the top. And so probably in the back of my head and through my youth, it's very much been a make yourself smaller. Compliments don't mean what they do. It's just someone telling you that to make you feel better, or they pity you, or whatever. I know none of that is real. I know none of that is real, but you still go into that headspace. So I think, and you can tell me what you do, Veronica, because we all go through this, but I have to remind myself not only the more positive self-talk. So it's like, but you take the butt away. I have to take the butt away, take the butt away. I have written a book. I've written several books. I've gotten to the end. Most people don't. I have published. I have talked about my books. I've had workshops. I've had the kids tell me that they love the books that they're reading and my books. And I've talked to authors and what else do I do? Okay, so forgetting what everyone else is thinking of you. I was of a generation where you were very much told, don't act out because people will think you're weird. Do you know what I mean? And so in your brain, you're always trained into don't show the weirdness. Don't be strange. Don't be odd. Don't have people thinking badly of you. So I try to stay more positive, try to bring out that positive material. So find the good reviews that you can stick up high on your workspace to say that people have enjoyed your books. You can do this. You can do this. And then focusing on what you do have, not what you don't. And for me, I'm terrible at comparing myself to other writers. And you can't do it. You can't compare yourself to other writers, other author colleagues. Everyone's at different stages of their journey.
Yeah.
Everyone's at different points of their learning and where they're going with things. You help out where you can. And I'm the first person to jump on and tell someone else they're amazing, so I can't do it to myself. So what do you do, Veronica? What do you do to get yourself out of that?
You might have noticed my eyes were chasing. I wanted to give you this quote, which is by the beautiful Maya Angelou. If you are always striving to be normal, you will never know how amazing you can be.
Mm-hmm.
So you tell those detractors, normal is really boring.
Yes. And I've got to embrace my weird.
Yeah, embrace your weird. Embrace you. Some of for me, what has helped is age, for sure, because you find, well, what I found was in my 40s probably, that rather than me asking people more for things or how to do things or whatever, I found that people were beginning to ask me more, that the balance had shifted. And that was when I started to notice, I've got some stuff that people might find helpful. So that was a good realization.
That's good.
But when I think about, there's my butt. When I think about imposter syndrome, some of that is supported by me flitting from bits and pieces to the other. Yes, midwife, nurse, all those kind of things. But even within the health sector, trying different things, teaching classes, doing quality, doing education, running hospitals, doing management. Not my thing. Now doing project management, change management, until I found the thing that really fitted me. Until I realized that while I can be good at stuff, I don't have to love it. And that was a big realization as well, that it's a learned behavior, it's a learned good thing, but it doesn't give me the joy. And so to focus on the things that I'm good at that give me joy, that is the thing to do. And regardless of what anybody else says, that what makes you feel good, when I've had some losses, it puts into perspective life, and people saying things about you, figure, what the heck, just freaking do it. I teach people stuff that worked for me is don't put, I just want to ask you something. Take out the word just. Don't qualify anything that you do with just.
Yep.
Just
Only
and but, and not
and
only.
only.
And only,
Mm.
just, but, and
Mm-hmm.
only. They are three
Yep.
words that particularly women
Yeah.
tend to use
Yeah.
and people who are more introverted tend to
Yeah.
use in their language, in their written material, etc.
Yeah.
So take it out. And even I want to ask you, I'm asking, what are you doing today?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So it takes out all that fluff at the
Mhm.
beginning.
Mhm.
And sometimes you
That's
write it, then you go, okay. So I teach people to then go back and edit before you send it out.
Mm.
And do that because that brings your voice more strongly and makes your message clearer.
And that's good for writing as well, because that's what we
Yes.
do when we edit. The first thing we have to do
Yes.
is make the sentence clearer, make the words
Yeah.
clearer, make the intention clearer. So as authors, we're doing that with our own work and taking out
Yeah.
the buts and the
Yeah.
onlys and the justs and
Yes.
all of those
And the
wishy-washy
that's,
words and the
that's.
that's.
I've just done the that's.
Yep. Yep.
Yes.
And so we do that as writers in our work, in our
Yeah.
editing,
Yeah.
but then you get to, and talking about marketing, talking about what
Yeah.
Abigail was saying, you then have to promote yourself. And that
Yes.
is for internalized people, so authors, you live in your own space so long and you are in your own world, but you are writing to yourself.
Mm.
No one else is in that same headspace as you
Mm.
at that time. So
Mm.
we live in an
Mm.
internalized world. And then you have to go and tell people how amazing your book is, and they have to read it. And it is amazing, and they do have to read it. And I don't know why they don't, and it's just rude. But get that self-talk going, be
Yeah.
more positive.
Yeah.
But it is there's that part. It is very important that we do look at that side of things and have to train ourselves, whether it's body language, voice
Yeah.
training, whether it's that we write ourselves a little script so
Yeah.
that we
All of
stay
those
to
things.
it.
Couple of things I want to share. One
Yeah,
is
go.
the absolute physical grounding. And this is what I teach people, that you have to be absolutely grounded in your body. We spend a lot of time
Yes.
in our head. Yeah.
Yep.
And
Yep.
imagine the little thought bubbles, particularly if, we were standing in front of a stage or in a room full of people in a library or whatever.
Yeah.
All you're thinking is, oh my God, I think I'm an idiot, blah, 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 blah. So if you actually get yourself together and get grounded in your body, take your focus to where the martial arts people say the center of your chi,
Yeah.
all those things is down in
Yeah.
your belly.
Mhm.
Think legs strongly connected to the earth, actually grounding, tree trunks or steel, whatever works for you,
Yep.
and stay there in your body. People will hear you
Yeah.
better. They
Yes.
will not be anxious because you're anxious. They will
Mhm.
listen to what you're going to say. So by you
Absolutely.
grounding yourself and going, I'm right here, right now, this is what I'm doing, that's a big one. So definitely the
And
important.
taking that with not only theatre training, but also with my singing teacher, who quite often would say, if you are standing with your shoulders back, you are not tightening your chest, so you're not tightening your throat. It allows your voice to carry. You carry further and you
Yeah,
sound more confident. And through the
absolutely.
theatre background, also stance is so
Yeah,
important.
it
Don't
is.
wring your hands together, because it
Yeah,
is it is a nervous thing.
yeah,
We all do it,
yeah,
trying to keep the hands down or
yeah,
out and
yeah.
gesturing out rather than wringing them together, because again, constricts your body language, and then in your own head you don't feel confident.
No, that is exactly right.
And
Also
yeah.
listen to Amy Cuddy's TED Talk. That was brilliant, except the poor woman, somebody should have given her a glass of water because her
Oh
lips
no.
started to stick together.
Oh
But
no.
she talks about power poses, and that is another
Yeah.
one if you're
Yeah. Yeah.
particularly, interested in having to speak publicly. So there's those kind of physical things. But the other thing that I know helped me a lot was journaling,
Oh.
was writing how I
Mm-hmm.
felt
Mm-hmm.
in all of those situations, and then cutting off that negative self-talk. So
Yeah.
exactly what you said, whereas, what would I do? I'm not a writer. And then going,
Yep.
that's not true. Is that true?
Yeah.
Absolutely. It is not true because
Yeah.
you've written 7 books, you've got
Yeah.
series completed, all of those kind of things. So to challenge your own self-talk by asking yourself, is that really true? And either you do it in your mind, or I
Yes.
found it incredibly helpful to write it out and
That's
then to
good.
read back over the week or every now and again, flick back 12 months and go, oh my goodness, what the hell was past Veronica
Why was I
thinking?
thinking this?
Look how far you've come.
Yeah.
Look what
Yeah.
you've done. And
that's it exactly. Particularly when you're reading a magnificent book. I was going to say, what are you reading at the moment? When you're reading a fantastic book and you are in that headspace of, oh my God, this person is so amazing. How do they sound? So I sound crap compared to this. Oh, this is amazing writing. When you do get into that headspace, because I do all the time, it is taking that step back and going, but I've done a lot. And that's my strengths, and I've got those.
And working on your craft, and you never let it go. And the final thing is to keep some of those good comments, whether they're a written review by a stranger or whether they're your mum who says, oh, I love your work, Laurie, don't get it, but I love it. Put it in a little fabulous file. And when you have one of those days that just only but is every second word, don't have a little read of those and go, well, you know what? Not everyone's going to like my story, but this person, they loved it so much that they put a review on for me.
Exactly. Yes. And I think, post them up if you need to. If you've got a corkboard or a whiteboard, stick them up on the board so you're seeing them all the time as well.
Absolutely.
So, no, that's great advice. Thank you. I thought that might be a nice little chat to have about that sort of thing. So
definitely good. And look, it never ends. I am less tolerant of myself doing those things because I've got to get on.
Yeah.
I've got things to
and
do.
You know, I think it's perimenopause for me. It's like, you know what? I don't care anymore.
No, I'm far less
I don't care
worried about what
anymore.
People
whatever.
Think. Like, whatever. Like, here we are faffing on. We're doing our thing. We're sharing lots of stuff. And I love what we do. So I wanted to, I got some quotes to share. And I had so many good quotes about villains.
There are so many good quotes about villains. I had a few as well. Well, if I could jump in first, I had a great one by N.K. Jemisin because I thought this was fitting with Abigail's work, but also with other things we've been talking about. So, in a child's eyes, a mother is a goddess. She can be either glorious or terrible, benevolent or filled with wrath, but she commands love either way. I'm convinced that this is the greatest power in the universe. And I thought that is very fitting with Abigail's book.
Beautiful. So, I really love that. I love N.K. Jemison's work. All right. A villain is simply a victim whose story hasn't been told. Chris Colfer, The Land of Stories, The Wishing Spell, 2012. I thought, well, that's what Abigail was doing. But V. Schwab, who wrote Vicious, I do like her work, a young American writer. A villain is someone hurt by the world, and so they take revenge on it. Okay. And the villain is the hero in their own mind, Tom Hiddleston. So there you go. Plenty of villain quotes.
Absolutely. And that is the thing, getting into the villain headspace. It's not getting into a villain headspace. It's getting into the hero's headspace because they're not sitting there planning world domination because of XYZ.
No.
They think they can help people.
Yes.
I can make this better. I can do this. It's through me that everything will get whatever it is. Hence your Boromirs and your various, Game of Thrones. Every Game of Thrones character who is a morally grey character all think that their story is truth. It is they are the heroes of their story. So it's not writing a villain's story. It's writing the hero's story.
Yeah.
Just they're not good people.
But we do need them because otherwise our heroes look a bit wishy-washy.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it.
I think that we need to sign off and go and do some of our stories today. And as I mentioned, I'm waiting with bated breath for a new little arrival in our family. So
exciting.
So exciting.
And I've got some D&D game to prep.
Get
with
some of
my
that,
villain story that is trying very hard to make my teammates suffer. So
right, believe your dungeon master.
Yes.
No. Dungeon master?
Yes, yep.
Yes,
Game master, dungeon master.
Dungeon master. Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent.
The evil one. Either way, it works.
All right. And I will leave you to it and get back to doing many, many things today. I'm not even going to list them because Saturday is a chores day, but I have already been for a bit of a walk with my fabulous new hip in my fabulous new orthotically supported runners.
So how do we end an episode, Veronica?
Well, I think that we end an episode with a reminder of really what is at the core. What is our absolute mission and our legacy, Laurie?
And you're all thinking it at the same time, so you're all saying it in your own heads as you're listening to us wrap up here with read more Aussie
books. Hooray!
Bye for now.
Thanks, Laurie. Bye for now.
Let's meet again when magic happens.